welcome to Biter Season 7, Episode number 4, Service.
This is Marnell.
Yeah. Well,
Your sometimes permanent fill-in co-hostess.
And as always, this is your zombified 30-something Brian. As you can tell, we are missing Diane again, which is fine. She's got a lot of stuff going on. Real life always does take precedence over the podcast. So that's why we've kind of are expanding our roster to 3 and potentially 4 at some point as we near into the holidays and all sorts of fun family stuff going on all over the place. But let's get to it. What do you know,
Yes.
Marnell?
I know that this episode was better than last episode. We talked earlier, and you liked last episode, but I was very ho-hum about last episode. This episode, we are back with our core group, and we're back in Alexandrian, and we got to see Negan too. So I'm pretty jazzed about this one.
Yeah, overall, I was very happy with this episode. The 90 minutes. So when I first seen it, and I was like, oh, 90 minutes, here we go. This ought to be funny. Let me just bust out my stopwatch and see how much, or 85-minute episode. Let's see how much it really was. And it was about 55 minutes of actual episode time. So I was really surprised at that final number, which still, it's 2/3. So you got 2/3 show, 1/3 commercial. I was happy with that. But what I did notice, and this was fun, is the first half hour was very long content segments. And then as the episode went on, the TV show segments got shorter and the commercials became more frequent. Mm-hmm. So I noticed that it grabbed your attention right away with the bigger chunks. And
it draws you in for the extra commercials at the end.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool, but I was happy with that, with the amount of stuff. So I guess for me, I'm going to go ahead and rate this. I wanted to say burning mattresses, but Thomas Omar has already taken that one.
We've had a couple people say burning mattresses.
Which, we'll get to that. I loved it. That made me just kind of laugh, but it was awesome.
Yeah, Thomas Omar said it, and then it looks like Cody Redbeard Stradley also said it. So that was a big bone of contention with the fans, burning the mattresses.
It was huge. I will say 4 pulled sniper shots out of 5. How about that?
I also liked Thomas Omar's my personal rating, and I will give it one of his out ofs. I gave it a 3.4 illegitimate children.
Ooh, take that.
Yeah, big reveal.
Which we'll get to that. That is definitely a spot for me.
Yeah, that was unexpected.
Unexpected and unneeded, if I must say. And I'll get to that reference later.
Okay, I was going to say, it was unneeded at the time, but I think it's going to be needed going forward. But
yes.
Yeah, we'll get there. So I couldn't really find any ratings for last episode or this episode. Diane is our ratings diva. But I did read some articles saying that all of the episodes this season have gone down in ratings each episode when you are just factoring live, but live +3 and live +7 have all stayed steady. So you guys are watching something else and DVRing Walking Dead so you can fast forward through all those commercials.
Yeah, there's been some good football games, World Series. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff. And at the end of the day, it's really about that live plus rating.
Right.
Live numbers are cool, but at the end of the day, it's a busy time, it's a busy life, and as long as you watch it at some point in the week, you're good.
My issue is I got to stay off social media until I watch it. So I'm trying to watch it as quickly as possible because, 20 minutes without Facebook and I'm hyperventilating.
That's funny.
Totally kidding.
You need Twitter then.
No, I have all the alerts turned off on my phone. So I check Facebook on my time. But like I've said, I like spoilers on my terms. I will go read the Wikipedia pages about the comic books to find stuff out. But, show me a picture of dead Beth, 3 hours before I get the episode. And I'm upset. So,
which was hilarious.
What? That it totally spoiled it for everyone?
Well, so Before Biters, I was on a different Walking Dead podcast that I kind of started, and that was one of my big calls. And I said, Beth is going to die. She's going to be the one to die here. And people were, no, you're crazy. And I said, let me give you this. And I think they learned their lesson is, so in Des Moines, Iowa, Beth was scheduled to appear at Wizard World Convention. The time she was filming was at the beginning, or the time she was supposed to appear was also like week 2 of filming for the next season.
Ah.
And I said, she's dead. She's on tour right now with Wizard World when filming's going to happen. She's dead. And then it all kind of came out. And I think, I'm not saying like I was the reason it was that, but I think Beth's death was so botched and so made public before it even happened. I think they learned a lot of lessons from that. And if you look at what happened with filming schedules now, you see all these other people. Lauren Cohan was sending pictures on her Instagram when she was in different countries and different states when they're supposed to be filming.
And Daryl, his name escapes me at the moment. He's real. Norman Reedus. He actually started filming his motorcycle show for A&E. I think it was A&E. And everyone's like, oh my God, they're going to kill Daryl. And, it kind of coincided, but I guess the guy can, pull double duty or something. And then they had everyone on set for the next season's starting to film, when they're already dead. I mean, they totally have people scheduling funny so that you cannot tell who is dead and who is alive and who will be dead. And yeah, so they've gotten very, very good at it.
So that takes care of the numbers. What else we got? What are our other Dianne-isms that we need to get through first?
We have like writers and directors kind of crap that we could go through.
Did you do that? Did you prep that? Because I'm excited to talk about this. I am really digging this.
You liar. So we were directed by David Boyd, and he's done a lot of directing for Friday Night Lights and Walking Dead. Let's see, Longmire, Containment. He's got a lot of directing credits, but he seems to be more well known for his cinematography. For Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Walking Dead, Sons of Anarchy, Friday Night Lights, Without a Trace, Deadwood, Firefly.
I've never watched an episode of Firefly.
Oh, you're so missing out.
No, I don't think I am.
Yeah, you totally are. Space Cowboys. Space Cowboys. Yeah. Love me some Firefly. Nathan Fillion. But so he's not unknown to the Walking Dead world. We've had a lot from him before. Corey Reed, our writer, he also not unknown to Walking Dead. He's got about 25 Walking Dead writing credits. Producer. Medium, Da Vinci's Demons. Did anybody watch that?
No.
Yeah, I just went and watched Inferno this week, and it was really, really good, but I didn't even know they made a series out of it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so those were our directors and our writers, and of course you've got Robert Kirkman, Tony Moore, Charlie Adlard. I guess that's how you say it.
Sounds good. Accurate.
But yeah, nothing out of left field. So this one was kind of easy to bag and tag. So,
Boom.
Yep.
All right, let's get into this. Let's start with the title. Do we know why they called this Service? Absolutely.
Because service guarantees you citizenship. You get it, right, Brian?
Yes.
Oh, Diane didn't get it last week. Would you like to know more?
Yes, I would.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Somebody gets my reference. So yeah, we start off with a very despondent Rick and Michonne. I guess seeing your friend's heads bashed in will kind of kill the mood.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, for most. Not for me, probably, but, I mean, whatever. But no, it was good. I would have liked to know. Well, hold on. We're going all wonky with this. Epic fail and epic fail. We got to do this. That's like rotten potpourri stuff I was about to get into.
Alrighty.
I've been out of practice, man. I'm doing like the fantasy football radio show and stuff, and then I like pop over to this, and this is all like.
If we must be linear.
Yes. So what's your epic? Kick us off.
My epic is, and I know you're going to hate this because I know you hate him. I love Negan. I love to hate the guy. I love it that he showed up early just to throw them off. You know, he wants to throw them off their game so that they don't have time to hide the guns or get rid of the inventory lists or what have you. I love that he made Rick hold Lucille. I mean, how sick was that? I loved everything about, him and Rick and the whole, well, you said you were going to take half, and Negan's like, and I get to decide what half is. I love that. I love Hit Negan as a bad guy, and I know that you're hoping that he doesn't stick around, but he is so evil.
Yes,
and he's fun about it.
Yes. So two things. One, I don't hate Negan. I just don't want one villain to go into 2 seasons. That's my problem. I just don't want it to go into 2 seasons. Any villain. I don't care who it is. It could be anybody. I just don't want a villain to go into 2 seasons. Take over 2 seasons. That'll drive me nuts. So I do love Negan, and Negan is my epic. The invasion. They show up, just like you said, early. Boom, boom, boom. What's going on here? He just walks in, shows Rick that he's in charge. Like you said, I'm showing up early to throw you off your game.
And he brings more goons than necessary just to show Alexandria force.
Just to show you that this is what I can do. This is just a little taste. This
is serious. You better take it serious.
Yep, and I'm early and I'm taking more just because I'm the man. I don't care what I said. I decide what's after. What you don't decide anything.
And he magnanimously leaves them their food because he's such a good guy, and he makes you thank him for it. Oh, like he gets under your skin, and you're just like, I love hating this guy.
But it's he is laying down the law, and that's what I just love. If I'm in the apocalypse, I am the governor or I am Negan. I am not Rick. I am the baddest mofo on the planet. And I can't wait.
You gotta keep your stuff in check. I mean, we've talked about it every season. Actions have consequences, and when people go off on their little side tangents and do their thing, it brings in the bad guys, or somebody gets in trouble, or you have to have your thumb on everybody.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it in Rotten Potpourri, but he was setting the expectation on I set the expectation for behavior on the first meeting. I'm setting the expectation of your lifestyle on the second. I dictate everything about you now. Loved it.
Yeah.
So we agree. 1 for 1. What is your favorite?
Oh, that was your epic?
Yeah, that was my epic. Absolutely.
Wow. Like, how did we get on the same page?
I don't know. Good Lord.
The election happened. Cats and dogs are living together. It's chaos. So my fail was, and it's kind of a minor thing. I kind of have 2 fails, but I think I'm going to put one in Rotting Potpourri. One of my fails was, my fail is the lie about Maggie. Okay, so you are going to find all of the guns and give them Negan. You're even going to find the guns that weren't on the inventory because they were what you took from the Savior's compound. And you're going to give it to Negan because you're such a good, obedient little dog. And you don't want to get anyone killed and put anyone's life in danger. And, you can't lie to this guy. Maggie's dead. What? You're going to lie about that? That's really... And I saw something today. I read an article that said that they were trying to keep Hilltop out of it, in that they didn't want to kind of make Hilltop culpable in everything that happened. And I'm like, but if they go there and they find Maggie, and of course Sasha, because I assume Sasha's there. We didn't see her this episode. Somebody had to take Maggie.
Right.
You go and you see Maggie there, or the Saviors see Maggie there, or she's found there, or she's seen alive at some point. Negan's going to know you lied about it. Like, you're going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about the guns, but you lie about a human person walking around. Like, that just didn't make sense with me.
We are 2 for 2, Marnell.
Whoa!
We are 2 for freaking 2.
We are through the looking glass. This is bizarre.
Yes. So as I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, they're going to lie about Maggie. Okay, cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then as it went on, I'm like,
yeah.
Wait a minute. This doesn't make any sense. You guys are freaking idiots. What are you doing? Like, you can't lie about this.
Where are you going to squirrel her away that she's not going to be seen by the all-knowing eye of Negan?
Yeah, he's like freaking Sauron, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Brian, this is weird. I don't think I like you agreeing with me so much.
Yeah, Jesus. This is getting risky here.
We need to talk about episode 3.
But it was, though. I mean, so I included Sasha in mine. Is they're hiding in Hilltop. It's not will they get discovered, it's when are they going to get discovered? And how do you expect her to hide the entire time, especially if she has a baby?
Had a baby. Yes.
Why on God's green earth did they not just say she's over at Hilltop? Because they knew. So that whole, they don't want to involve Hilltop. They knew where they were going in the first place. That's why they had the roads all blocked off to Hilltop.
Yes. I don't understand this lie. It's been driving me nuts all day.
Yeah. So whatever. Father Gabriel, whatever.
Yeah. Father Gabriel was the one that was like, oh, he dug the extra grave and everything. And why didn't you bury the guns in the grave? I'm just saying. But, he dug the extra grave and he's the one that kind of made the lie. And, Rick complimented him later on it, like, oh, that was quick thinking. And I'm like, no, that was dumb thinking.
Yeah, that was dumb thinking.
Yeah. But I did like how Negan thought Father Gabriel was super creepy. That was funny.
Yeah. Whoa, what the shit? Why are you creeping up on me?
You standing there in that collar, looking all creepy. Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, that was just, wow, this is going to be a really short episode if we agree on everything.
Well, I can't imagine us going 3 for 3 here.
Okay, what was your epic fail?
My epic fail, and just so people don't think this is all rigged, mine was Judas Revelation. I thought it was terrible timing, and here's why. It's not that it happened. The fact that it happened explained a lot. She's like, why? Why are we doing this? And he's like, I am here to protect everybody. Even though Judith isn't mine, I treat her as such. Hence, I treat all of you as such. I treat all the other kids as my kids. I treat everybody like my brothers and sisters. Yada, yada, yada. Totally get it. But the timing of it, to me, it was like an ex-girlfriend saying, we just broke up and now I'm saying I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant. You can't break up with me. I'm pregnant. Come back.
Yeah.
Because Michonne was pissed. She was pissed.
Yeah.
Like, I am going to walk out on you right now, Rick. You suck. This is the weapon that could have killed him. I literally could have shot Negan's, exploded his skull, which, by the way, the sniper rifle she's shooting is a 7.62. That deer would not have a head on its body. Just to be clear, that deer would not have a head on its body.
Well, to be fair, she is a supremely awful shot. It could have gone through a tree before it hit the deer.
It could have gone through a tree and then hit the deer. I guess so. Because if it would literally have blown the back of the deer's neck apart so bad, it would have been hanging on by a piece of skin. So
yeah,
anyways.
It was a perfect neck shot too. You didn't have to follow a blood trail or anything to track the deer down. That deer went straight down.
So, she was all mad. She was all pissed that, this is the weapon that could have killed him. We could have shot him from 500 yards away. We could have killed him. We could have killed him when he was in his compound. We could have picked him off. And you just gave him that because you're trying to be a good boy, and that really just affected her. And then it just felt like Rick was just being like, well, you can't leave. I'm pregnant,
Yeah.
And so he tells
Yeah.
his big sob story, and then she's like, okay, I'll help you make the damn bed.
The timing is really weird. Like, I don't know why they shoehorned that in to the very end of the episode. I mean, I see that it may serve a higher purpose, the story and his knowledge of it down the road, but I don't know why put that right there, right then, other than the emotional manipulation of Michonne.
I agree. That, to me, that's all it was.
Yep.
All it was.
Yep.
Okay,
And
yours.
To add to that a little bit, like, Rick has, like, he has perfected that despondent look. Like, he just constantly looks like he's shell-shocked the entire, like, ever since, episode 1. Of course, this is the first episode we've seen him in since, but I mean, throughout the entire episode, he just looked despondent, And so that may go along with the whole, I'm going to tell somebody that Judith's not actually my kid, but I don't know. But yeah, I just noticed that Rick's despondent look has gotten, like, it's permanent now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then that's really the whole point. That's the whole point of the episode, is Rick is broken and he can't think straight. He can't think clearly. And he is just doing whatever he can instead of fighting back like he has against the governor, Terminus, wolves, everything. He has just directly fought head on, just battering ram into the problem. We're going to overwhelm you by force.
What is going to bring him back?
I don't think he's going to be the hero.
You don't think it's going to be a dictatorship ever again?
Nope. I don't think he's going to be the hero here. It's
going to be Michonne and Rosita. It seems like they were pretty ticked.
Well, I think Rick will be the least powerful or least leader with influence when the 3 tribes convene.
Yeah, it'll be Maggie. I mean, if we're sticking to the Walking Dead universe, it'll have to be Maggie.
Yeah. So I think Rick's broken. He's done.
Yeah. So my epic fail, and I just decided that this was actually my other fail. Spencer.
Oh, son of a bitch.
God, I hate you. I hate Spencer. Okay, so Diane and I were talking an episode or two ago about how the actual cast members who are evil, the guy who played Gareth, they have a hard time with the fans because the fans, like, they see him at, like, Comic-Con or whatever, and they're like, I hate you so much, And seriously, the guy who plays Spencer, if I see you in real life, I'm going to kick you in the shins. He is so selfish and self-centered and just self-absorbed and self-important, and, like, he thinks he knows, but he doesn't. Like, he keeps going off on his little projects and screwing up, and we keep having to save him. He should be dead.
Yeah. And then that's the frustrating part for me is Spencer he's a little prick.
And he's a whiny little prick, and he's a selfish little prick, and I just want to call him Mr. Laurie.
He's the mayor's kid. He's the mayor's kid.
Yep.
And if you think about it, he's the only one left.
He got his brother killed. Like, and his little tiff with Rick this episode. I mean, far be it for me to defend Rick, but if I were to defend Rick against anybody, it would be Spencer.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That's one of my highlights in the Rotten Potpourri section.
Yeah, so Spencer was my epic fail.
So you went 2 for 3. Not bad.
I wonder how long they're going to keep him alive. Are they keeping him alive just to mess with us?
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to make it out of this season.
Because he is seriously one of those people that should have died years ago in the apocalypse. Like, being in Alexandria, it was the only thing that saved him, and Rick's group being there was the only thing that saved him. And all of a sudden, everything is Rick's group's problem, when really he should have been eaten to death by the quarry walkers or the wolves, or, he doesn't think that Negan's group wasn't going to find them eventually. Really, dude?
Yeah, I think Spencer will have a short life. He's going to either pop off on one of Negan's group or something like that, or he's just going to try and do something to impress Rosita. Like, he's gonna be like, no, babe, we're leaving this place. And, like, he's gonna, like, try and take off and wind up getting killed or stopped somewhere, you know. I could see a point where he, like, gets stopped by Negan's group and he says, no, I'm from here. And, you know, actually, to tell you the truth, Rick is plotting XYZ against you.
Oh, don't tell me that. I already hate the guy. Oh.
Yeah, I could see something like that.
So, wishful thinking, bold prediction. Rick's group doesn't come up with anything quote unquote interesting next week, whatever interesting is supposed to mean, Negan. And Spencer meets Lucille.
Well, yeah, and ultimately, I think that would be something that would happen.
We can only hope.
I definitely think Negan's not done. Lucille's not done.
God.
I definitely think the people of Alexandria need to witness it.
Yep.
Because the thing that stuck on Hilltop was Jesus said he wrangled us all up in the middle and killed this kid in front of everybody. Well, that didn't happen in Alexandria, you know?
Nope.
So,
it was just in front of Rick's group.
Yeah. So that's kind of the whole point. So it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Let's hope they start with Spencer. I don't think the only other person I would think they would do would be poor Enid, but I can't see them sacrificing a woman other than to the whole, we're awful enough to kill a young woman.
Well, I'm expecting a woman to die next. Had a
Really?
couple of guys. Yeah, you've had a couple of guys die off now.
Who do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I would expect it just to be a B character at this point.
Oh, like the chick with the census taker. She kept track of the food and the guns.
Oh, I thought she was dead. I thought she
Olivia.
was dead.
Olivia.
Yeah, that's in my rotten potpourri. I thought she was toast. Should we get there? Should we just get on to it?
I think so.
Sniff, sniff.
Smells like rotting potpourri in here.
Ooh. So let's talk about it. We were just on it. Olivia. The whole record keeping thing.
Would that not be the first thing you would burn day one when you get back? I mean, I don't know how early Negan showed up, but, you know, they've been back for a couple of days. So,
So, I mean, two parts here. One of my rotten potpourris was, what is the time lapse here? So that's what kind of torques me off a little bit is, was it 1 day or 2 days? Or was it 3 days?
Long enough for them to like torture Daryl at the
well, we would assume
Savior
that's
compound.
all simultaneous. We would assume that as soon as they got back, Daryl went into the closet. Mm-hmm. Morgan and Carol are getting introduced to Ezekiel as they're getting their skulls bashed in. You know, we would assume that's all simultaneous. So I'm thinking 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
So I don't think they ever thought about, well, you know what? Maybe we should hide half the guns. Because they thought Negan was just going to show up. They're going to have this big pile of food. And then they were going to take it. Okay, cool. Thank you. Bye. And they were going to leave. I think that's what they thought was going to happen. That, okay this is going to be an easy business deal. He's going to come in. We're going to give him a bunch of stuff. He's going to take it and go.
Yeah, and Monday morning quarterback for me, you know, I can say that like I totally would have started setting stuff aside, but I would have also started have setting other stuff aside that I didn't want them to take. You know, like some of the medicine and some of the ammunition, and even if you didn't burn the inventory list of food and guns, you had guns that weren't on the inventory list because they were from the Savior compound. I would have hidden those. And I get Rick's point about, well, if he finds us with them later, it's just going to be worse. And it's like, yeah, but I mean,
I tell my kid the same thing. If I find out, it's going to be worse. That ass whooping is going to be worse.
Yeah, and, you know, Rosita found, I mean, you can always say, well, we came across it. Like, we found it, you know, in a house or, you know, you can get out of it, right?
Maybe. Then why didn't you turn it in?
Brian, you need to teach your kids to lie better.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, so, but I mean, like I said, Rosita found a gun. So, I mean, you could always say you came across it and, you know, you could hopefully, not that Negan can really be bargained with or reasoned with, but you could always be like, look, we need it to protect ourselves against, you know, other groups or walkers or, these freaking wolf dudes that are running around with dead faces on. Yeah, I mean, you could always like try and talk your way out of it, but at least you have a gun or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised. It just kind of goes back to a recurring theme with our group is that they get too complacent. Kudos to Michonne for
taking the initiative.
Yeah, keeping a stash somewhere up in the chimney, which would have sucked if they just would have, like, Rick comes home. He's like, I started a fire tonight. Oh, shit. Boom, boom, boom. But it was really surprising to know that at this point, why are we still taking inventory?
Yeah.
Is it just busy work? I would assume so. It gave Olivia a purpose to keep track of everything.
Obviously, it wasn't doing much good if Spencer was hoarding food and booze and guns.
Well, and that's the thing. So when was the inventory taken?
Yeah, why didn't those guns come up missing in an earlier count?
Right. So, and if they did, why wasn't it scratched? I mean, but again, let's go back to Negan. He has a process for this. He has a process, and everybody has a job. There were people's jobs who were to go into every house and take out every mattress and furniture. And there was people's jobs to go in, find the guns, find everything, look for records. I mean, I would have never thought, oh, we found a record book and we went through and inventoried every single gun and we're missing 2.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. So that kind of stuff, that was really cool.
This is not his first rodeo, obviously.
No. And I definitely thought Olivia was dead. I thought she was toast because I kept thinking, someone's got to die in Alexandria. He's got to flex that muscle in front of everybody here. And when he was like, you got to find these 2 guns, I thought that was it. And I thought, Rick's going to come out and be like, we cannot find these guns. And boom, he was just going to bash her skull in. He's like, next time I come, I'll be back in a few days. You better have those guns or it's going to be your kid.
Yeah.
So I thought that was coming. So that was surprising.
It was.
What do you got?
So Daryl thinks Maggie's dead.
You bet he does.
And now that's a third person weighing on his conscience.
You bet it is. You bet it is.
I mean, if anything breaks Daryl, it's going to be his own conscience.
So,
you and I talked earlier about Daryl. Yep.
You guys talked about the letter A, and I had a little different spin on that. Is in the whole Walking Dead TV verse, if you have the letter A, or whatever you're marked with as the A, you are starting over from the beginning again.
And tell us why.
If you look at Terminus, was a great example. The train car was marked A that they all got put in.
Uh-huh.
And A meant that they were starting over. You were square one again, baby. And there's some other instances. But the main one is now Daryl has an A. And he's starting over. Not so much as he has no possessions. He's starting over emotionally and mentally. And I believe this goes back to his abusive childhood that we quasi know about.
Have been alluded to.
Yeah, it's been alluded to, the books and all the stuff that he reads and does and how super sensitive he is to Carol. And
his brother was a jerk. And
yeah. So to me, I think this goes right back to his abusive childhood. If you think about it, when he told Merle, when they were arguing in the forest, and he goes, and you just left me with him, and, it was worse for me. And then Merle realized, oh my God, I did this to my little brother.
Yeah.
And Daryl had the scars on his back. Well, if Daryl was beat and whipped and then thrown in a closet, locked in a closet, that stuff happens in the news all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Daryl is right back to square one.
Yeah.
He is right back to an abusive, reliving all of his memories and everything. And while he is still defiant in the Negan category, he is broken. And you know what? We'll see what happens. I'm not ready to make a bold prediction on his fate yet, but I don't think AMC will ever let him die.
You don't?
No. That's Look, AMC gets Kirkman pitches what he's going to do. AMC has a final decision. Period.
That's true.
And he's the bread and butter, man. He is the one that my sister goes out and, oh my God, a Daryl cover for my iPhone. I got to buy it.
The wings.
Yeah, so he is marketable. He
crossbow.
Yep. So I'm not ready to make a bold prediction on him yet, but we'll talk about it.
Okay. Do you have any other
I have
rotting
lots.
story?
I have lots.
Okay.
So back to the Rick telling Spencer you say anything like that to me again, I'm going to break your teeth out. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
I said, do you say yes? Say yes. Who's that
Yes.
sound like? Who's that sound like?
Negan.
You bet
Yes.
it does.
Speak when you're spoken to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I pointed that out also. I'm like, he's taken on a little bit of Negan traits.
Yeah, I mean,
when dealing with his people.
Yeah, look, I will kill you. Say that you understand.
Yeah.
Tell me you understand that this is what the consequence is going to be. And then Spencer's like, yeah, yes, whoops, sorry. And then I think is going to, I'm more on board with this whole Spencer leaving, tipping Negan off to someone's plan somewhere.
Well, he told Rosita confronts Spencer about the hidden guns and asks why he didn't mention them. And she's like, you saw what I did to get that one. And he's like, I hid the guns because I didn't trust Rick.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust, after all of this, he doesn't trust Rick. He's going to he's going to be Negan's little puppet. Ugh. Yep. That is such a Spencer thing to do, Mr. Laurie.
And a bullet for Rosita, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was wondering when they were going to bring us back to Eugene's little munition shack.
Yeah, I think that was going to be the biggest secret for all along, which there's so many technical difficulties with this. There's a lot of different calibers of guns, lots of different ammo sizes.
I was going to say you have to police your brass or, be using revolvers.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tricky thinking about a big picture. So my bold prediction was that Eugene turns into an ammunition factory. We find out that the other towns have hidden guns. They just don't have the ammo. We have empty casings. Cool, Eugene can make guns or make bullets. We know how to make gunpowder. We can do this. We can figure this out. So that's something, I guess. Or maybe they make like some old long barrels, old muskets or something. So that's there. And I'm wondering.
Oh, they could make a cannon.
Oh, that would be cool.
That would.
But I'm wonder if that bold prediction is going to be zeroed down to one bullet and one gun. Because what a symbol. What a statement. Nobody knows you have this gun. Nobody knows you have this one bullet. And as you can see, Negan is pretty cocky, pretty confident that his people are going to have his back. So he comes in, he knows they took every single gun in this place. He knows that there are no bullets. So into next year, into 2017, back into the season, Rosita, it's the big square down, everything's happening. They do this big charge and the tribes attack Negan's compound. And the tribes are getting defeated, and Negan takes Rosita, and he's like, hey, babe, how's it going? Ha, 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 look at, I can save you right now if you marry me. Mm-hmm. And she pulls out that one gun with that one bullet, and boom, kills him.
You really think Rosita's going to take him out?
Maybe.
Or she'll just be the catalyst that gets whoever takes him out the gun.
How symbolic. She is... Out of everything that's happened to her, she's the most affected by all of it. Because Abraham was her true love.
I was going to say, don't get me wrong, I love me some Rosita, and that's why I predicted Abraham's death, is because he was being a porch dick to Rosita. So, which, by the way, this episode, I loved the Dick Brigade. That was great. But no, don't get me wrong, I love Rosita, and that would be great, but I think, you've got the whole... Maggie would be great at taking him out, and Rick and Sasha. I mean, everyone has a great reason, including Rosita.
But that's the whole point, is it's someone you least expect.
Yeah.
Rosita saves the day. I mean, because I think Negan's people, as much as they are in solidarity, it's all rooted in fear. It's one of those things where, you see your king fall. Is the battle over?
we saw that a little bit in that, like, the people in Negan's compound are just miserable. I mean, the infighting for resources, and there's no privacy, and they're in a caste system. And the one guy who escaped, who's like, it's just one of him and all of us. Why is he in charge? You see the beginnings of a revolution, but everyone is so beaten down by him and so scared of him that they're scared to make the first move. And I think there are going to be a few Negan loyalists who take up arms after, Negan's got a bullet in his brain or whatever takes him out. You're going to have a few people that fire some guns back. But I think a lot of people, if you were like, wait, think about it. I think, a good 80% of his people are going to be like,
thank God. Yeah.
I like this guy.
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's the whole rule by fear. Everybody, if you had the opportunity and say, hey, you guys want to reset as a leader and go to this republic here, or do you want to go under this dictatorship? How do you want to live?
Or do you want to leave? They're not free to leave.
Yeah. Hey, we have these homes and this lifestyle here where everyone lives in peace and we contribute in a peaceful and meaningful way. And we all sleep in real quarters. And the only thing you have to earn your keep is to contribute. You can be the landscaper, you can be the lawnmower, you can be a hunter or a gatherer. Teacher.
Yeah.
We need a doctor too.
Yeah. And we'll probably need an inventory person if our weekly givings isn't that great next week.
Yeah, so then that's kind of how that goes. I like that. I did read some stuff about people thought Negan was being overbearing and it was just tiring. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Negan broke you too.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, is he's supposed to be overbearing and breaking and just aggravating as crap.
Right.
That's how he gets towns to do everything for him. Duh.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's all part of the show, too. The easy peasy lemon squeezy, it's he and King Ezekiel, like I said in the last episode, they are two sides of the same coin. It's just that one is good and one is evil. And I just, the showmanship sells his psychosis, for lack of a better term. He is the guy that will bash your friend's brain in with a smile on his face. Don't cross him. So I don't think he overdid it.
Suck my nuts.
So
go ahead.
I have little things like did you notice the walker that Michonne was trying to shoot?
No, I didn't know. I mean, it was important to her, but I don't know why.
He had fiery red hair like a ginger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was very reminiscent of Abraham. I was like, of all the walkers to put in front of her, that was deliberate to have him have fiery red hair. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. And speaking of hair, would somebody give Carl a haircut? He is starting to look like David Cassidy.
Yeah, it's getting annoying, but I thought Carl was going to get his ass beat.
Yeah, I mean, he almost got his dang arm cut off, and here he is challenging. I know he wants to save the medicine, but really, dude? And
why didn't you hide it?
And we're back to day one. You're like, this guy is coming for us. We need to hide the good stuff.
Yeah, when we gather, we need to stash.
Yeah, and don't just have one stash, because if he's like, okay, this isn't good enough, you can be like, okay, we were holding out on you. Here's this one other thing and this over here, Don't just have one stash. So. And
then burning mattresses.
Burning mattresses.
I loved it.
Who saw that coming?
I didn't.
I didn't.
Because you see them all on cots and stuff,
Well, and they took chairs and nice chairs and things like that. So I was like, oh, they're taking all the good stuff for them to either use or barter with, and then they just check the mattresses and set them on fire. What is up with that?
Total display of power.
Yeah, and that we want you to be uncomfortable. This is what living under Negan is.
Yep, and that's all it was is
Yep.
I own you.
Yep.
And I didn't give you those mattresses. And
Yeah.
I'm going to do this so in hopes that you come across them at some point and you go, they didn't even need them. They just took them to burn them.
You serve at my discretion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally awesome stuff.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. So
where do we go? What's the big calls? I didn't watch any of the what's coming up next week on The Walking Dead.
Next week on The Walking Dead, we are go-getters. We are in
we're in Hilltop. That's right. I've seen that.
Yep. We are in Hilltop, and we see Sasha and Maggie and Jesus, and we also see a bunch of saviors coming into town where Maggie is. You know, dead Maggie.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. I hope they've got some false walls in that governor's mansion.
Maybe. Who knows? They're going to get caught at some point. They're going to hide, but I think because even the right-hand man said, we got to talk, and he took that guy in the back. So who knows, man? What do you think if you had to make a guess, what do you think something interesting is going to be on Rick's side? You know, because King Ezekiel's something interesting is the pigs.
Is the pigs. Yeah. You know, I don't know. Before the very last scene of this episode, I would have said that something interesting would have been the munitions factory. I think they would have been like, look, we can do this for you. You know, this is our contribution. But now I think that's going to be kept secret. So I'm at a loss for what interesting is.
They're going to have to find something. Or is this where someone gets their skull crushed in?
I think it's where somebody gets their skull crushed in.
They show up and they just have food.
Yeah.
Like, no, I asked you something interesting.
Yeah,
this is
and
what we have. You need to try harder.
Eugene's like two-way radio or whatever. You know, yeah, it's not going to be good enough. I think somebody gets their skull crushed in.
Maybe. We'll see. Boom.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, that's all I got.
Me too. We have some good viewer feedback, though.
Yeah, go ahead and give that a read, will you?
Well, we've got a couple on Facebook. Thomas O'Mare, 4 out of 5 burning mattresses, or 4 out of 5 illegitimate children. Yay, Rosita. We also have Cody Redbeard Stradley gave us a long review of episode 4. Overall, he thought it was a decent episode. Glad to see Rick and the gang again, even if they were neutered. I would say impotent, but okay, neutered. I give it a 7 out of 10 burning mattresses. My good is seeing Michonne take the Andrea-esque role of the sharpshooter. Hopefully she can find another rifle somehow and continue practicing. My bad was the commercial breaks. There you go, Brian. Not necessary the show per se, but 90 minutes episode, I feel like damn near a third of it was commercials. It was. Not acceptable. I feel this completely takes you out of the show. My ugly is the Savior's Raid. Man, that was brutal, even without death. Nearly everything taken, including all guns and beds, and for them just to burn the beds outside of Alexandria. Super harsh. Also, a little theory I've been hearing. So some people have been saying that Daryl and Rick were communicating through Morse code last episode. Daryl frequently blinked while looking at Rick, and I believe Rick was tapping the bat to code back to Daryl. If so, that is genius. There's a pretty prominent Morse code sign earlier in the episode. Could have been a clue. Anyway, just a hunch. Me and some others had. What do you guys think?
Well, we need someone who understands Morse code to go figure out what they were saying.
I was going to say I hadn't noticed it. I'll have to look for it on the rewatch. But my only issue, I could see Rick knowing Morse code, maybe just because of the whole law enforcement thing. I know they teach some military, or they used to teach military guys Morse code. Brian, do you know Morse code?
They have a little book, but it's not stressed. I mean, it's one of those things where you learn if you're forward deployed, stuff like that. So it's nothing that's constant by any means.
Well, that's how we're going to win the war against the alien invasion.
Oh,
man,
right.
should you teach me?
I'm going to go look for Will Smith.
So, but I can't see Daryl knowing Morse code unless, like, it was a book in the shack he grew up in, you know? Like, he had nothing else better to do out by himself in the woods but read a book on Morse code.
Maybe.
So that would be totally interesting. I will have to do some Googling later to see if we could possibly find somebody smarter than us that knows Morse code.
Impossible.
But we did have a listener email from Susan Ugly, or at least that's her handle. So I'm not calling her ugly. That's just
Susan
name.
Germany.
Well, it came up as from Susan Ugly. So Diane forwarded it to us. It says, "Hey Diane, thank you. I rarely write in to comment on podcasts, but this time I must. Diane and Marnell, thank you so much for the awesome Second Shot podcast on TWD Season 7, Episode 1. I enjoyed it very much when you did Fear episodes, but this will be my save list together with Brian and Thomas one." I must have read that wrong. "I love you guys and girls' approach. Being made female, of course, yours made a lot more sense. You two are a great team. It is much fun to listen to you. Sometimes I get drawn into your narrative and I totally forget that I'm listening to a recording. Needless to say that this format shouldn't be overdone, but it will work nicely for special episodes. Thank you again. What a great experiment. I am actually writing to get your assistance from you, Diane. Oh, she wants to listen to Preacher and she can't find it. I believe that it is on iTunes, but if you are like me and you are not Apple savvy, I am an Android girl. I listen to the I'm sorry, I'm having a dog fight under my desk. I listen to it on a little app called Beyond Pod, and you can find us at the Good Word.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can find it if you go to southgatemediagroup.com and you go click on the podcast list, you'll be able to stream it via web through there on southgatemedia.com. And you'll also be able to find 515 Fantasy Football, hosted by yours truly, Brian Eikenberry.
Oh, sweet. I don't follow football, but awesome.
You should. That's okay. You're weird.
I am. So, I'm Diane's little sister.
Yes, short story or big story made little. Go to southgatemediagroup.com and you can search all the podcasts there and stream them live through your web browser.
Ah, yes. There you go.
Boom.
See, I listened, well, I'm not on Wi-Fi, so I download on Beyond Pod, but yes. One last thing for the episode. When the Saviors left outside the wall, they focused in on the sign. Do you remember what it said?
Something for the peaceful, vengeance for the something.
Mercy for the lost, vengeance for the plunderers. I think that's a sign of things to come.
Yeah. I mean, we know what's going to happen, so dun dun dun.
Yeah. How it's going to go down is going to be interesting.
Rosita, one shot, headshot, boom, Call of Duty, bang.
Wouldn't it be great for it to be Michonne? You know, she hones her sniper skills.
Yeah, but you don't hone them with. She was terrible, and that's not going to get any better. I shoot a lot, and I ain't going to get any better.
She needs to start out with like a 22 long rifle or something, so it doesn't have as much kick. Because she was. Did you notice she was shutting her eyes?
Yeah, she was terrible.
I was actually surprised she didn't get scope bit.
Yeah, she's bad. So,
yeah.
Anywho's.
So we have Go-Getters as our next episode. We have one more after that. Oh, no, we have a couple more after that. Okay, I was going to say we're getting close to our mid-season finale.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, but hopefully it will be good old Brian and Diane next week. They can get their life stuff. Not that I don't love this, but I know the listeners love Brian and Diane, so...
I don't think they love me as much, but too bad, chumps.
We love you, and that's what matters.
Damn right.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, let's give this a wrap-up here and try and get this...
Yes, you know, Diane and I forgot last time.
Ooh, tisk, tisk, young ladies.
I know.
Right. So let's take it
one dead day at a time. You and I are better than Diane and I. What's up with that?
You know how to get a hold of me.
I do.
All right, see you guys.
Good night, guys.